Okay, well, I'll call the meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is the public hearings. Already, I'm kind of at a loss as to what to say here. So the regular members attending are myself, Jay O'Leary, Evan Honeyman. Am I missing somebody?
Yeah, Jim Kelsey. You can do a quick roll call if you'd like.
I'm sorry, Jim. But if Liz, we have one vacancy, which I deem to be an absence, and therefore I would appoint.
Yeah, so Liz is an alternate anyhow, and she's on. So Sally
Hatzenbuehler.
Sally Hatzenbuehler is our new full member.
Oh.
Was appointed last week and just sworn in.
Yes.
I apologize.
Okay. I was not notified of that. Thank you.
I apologize. I've been juggling a couple of other things. So
thank you, Sally. Welcome. And that means we don't need any. Well, just a quick introduction. Then, yeah, you are. This is the meeting of the Farmington Historic District Commission. And we first will go through our public hearings. Because this is Zoom meetings, what we've been doing is when we have an application before us, we'll have the presenter go ahead. I will then go through the list and call on each of the members of the commission, including the alternates, to ask questions or make comments. Then we'll ask for public comment, and then we will look for a motion, and again, any further discussion. We try to keep it somewhat informal, so I'm not saying you don't get just one chance to ask a question. So if for some reason I don't hear you or something, just make some noise and we'll certainly get back to you. Mm-hmm. So with that, since we have all 5 regular members attending, none of the alternates will be participating in, well, they will participate in the discussion, but they will not vote. So with that, we're going to table the first and second matters until later in the meeting, and we'll begin with item 3, and I'll ask the secretary, Jim Calciano, to read the notice.
Can you, Shannon had it up, I don't see it anymore.
it is, it's on the screen right now.
It's the Miss Porter's School one, 1, 2, 3, 4 down, I think.
Yeah, it's not showing up.
Oh, all right. I'll read it, Jim. That's all right. Maybe your share screen's not working.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
All right. For sort of Miss Porter's School Inc. application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 1 transformer each at 53 and 63 Main Street, and 1 electric meter / panel each at 53, 59, and 63 Main Street. If someone is here on behalf of the applicant, I would ask you to state your name and address for the record, and then present your application.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Bradley. I live at 9 Waterville Road, Farmington, and I'm here today representing Miss Porter's School. And our application is for installation of 2 new transformers and 3 meter panels on 59, 53, and 63 Main Street. And you can see the locations identified. The transformers are the 2 green rectangles, and the meters are pointing to the location of the building that the meter that Eversource and the electrical contractors have identified as appropriate places to install the meters and the transformers. There are also, it took us a while, but we were able to get Eversource to commit to the size of the meters and, excuse me, not the meters, the transformers. They are 70 and a half inches wide, 53 inches deep, and 50.5 inches tall. And they are the kind of olivey green metal transformers that we have one on our campus already. It can be seen from Garden Street, and they will be here. This is a photo taken from School Street facing north. towards 63 Main Street. It's the side of the building. And so that's our Humphrey dorm, 63 Main Street. This is on the corner. This is on Mountain Road facing the north. It's also, this is the side of New Place dorm on the corner of Mountain Road and Main Street. And as you'll notice that both of those green rectangles are relatively close to an electrical pole, a pole. And those are the locations that Eversource is asking to install these. And the reason for this project is we need to upgrade the electrical in all 5 of the dorms on the eastern side of Main Street. Do you want me to keep going with the meters and their locations on the buildings? So this is the back, this is the back or the side of Colony Dorm. So this picture was taken from Mountain Road facing south. And unfortunately, there is no place on the rear of the building because of the requirements of how far the meter has to be from windows and doors. So this is essentially the only location on the side or the rear that this panel could be located. I was hoping to find something in the rear, and it's not possible because we have fire escapes and doorways and windows. So that's on, this is on the back of the building that's on the corner of Mountain and Main, that's on the north corner. And this one is in the rear of the building. So this is standing behind the building facing Main Street, facing west. And I'm behind the building. So this one will be relatively hidden from view from the street, but you will see it when you're driving around St. James. And then this one is this is 63 Main Street, and essentially it's the rear of the building, but because as you know, School Street goes up and around our property, cutting in front of Noah Wallace. You'll be able to see this from any angle, but it is the rear of the building.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Katie, before we ask?
I think that is, I sent an additional email to Shannon and Sandy, but I don't know if that photograph is here. It actually had the measurements of the panels, but I can tell you of the meters. They are the one on 53 and 63 it's 12 inches wide, 22 inches high, and 4 inches deep. And then the one on 59 Main Street is 20 inches wide, 34 inches high, and 6.1 inches deep. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of selection and we don't have a lot of options. These are pretty much what you see is what you get with Eversource and electrical contractors. And most of the other information is, the size of the concrete slab that the transformers have to sit on. Unfortunately, they're extremely unattractive, but I don't know. We have a desperate need to upgrade the electrical. I've been at Porter's 25 years, and when I first moved in, we had one phone on each dorm room floor and one computer that was shared by everybody. And now we have curling irons and hair blowers, hair dryers, and computers and chargers. And we have been advised that we need to upgrade our electrical. And in order to do that in these buildings, we need to have these transformers installed and 3 new panels.
So just to follow up on that, so you're saying if you're going to upgrade, these are necessary, this is necessary equipment?
Correct.
And I'll ask one more question and we'll get to it. And so then these are the only locations that are, or it's the optimal locations for safety and other reasons?
Eversource chooses where the transformers go, and they chose locations where they have easy access for their equipment, but they're also near existing electrical poles that run then the electricity from the street to the building. So they chose the locations for the transformers. The meters, we actually tried to find them working the best place, the most hidden place based on and working with the electrical contractor. So I got them behind two buildings. They're going to be in the rear of the building 59 and the rear of 63. No, excuse me, the rear of 53, which is the one over here on Mountain Road in Maine. Yeah, that's right. There's one in the rear of that building, and then the one in the rear of 63. 59 is our pretty kind of mustard color yellow building on the corner that has the nice fence around it. Unfortunately, there was no alternative. There was no spot in the rear of that building, and we didn't want to put it on the front, obviously. And there are requirements for the meters in terms of the number of inches that they can be close to a door or a window. And that was essentially the only location, which is not optimal for historic preservation, but.
Let me turn to the members. I'm just going down in the order I wrote your names in. Jay, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
My comment is that I think for safety issues, they don't have a choice. I think it's something that has to be done. And it seems that there are stipulations already in place that they can't change. So I don't think we have too much to say about any. That's my comment.
Thank you. Evan?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Jim?
Katie, there's two vaults going in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, I saw them there for the last month or so, and I said, oh my, where are these going? Now I know.
Yes, unfortunately, my buildings department didn't realize that I would need to go to historic for it. So
Right.
it's
So
like, what are you doing, people? And they slowed down and
I guess I have less problem with, I guess, a 63 on the School Street side. There's no other place in the back of 53 where, I mean, sometimes they will go a distance back off the road. Does that have to be right on Mountain Road? It's that one is very obtuse, to say the least.
I think my understanding is it has to do with where the public utility pole is located, and there aren't any behind the building. So it would be that or potentially Main Street.
Yeah, well,
So they're looking at Mountain Road as the side, which of course we all know in the village, it's not really a side road. It's a main thoroughfare, but given the choice of Main Street or Mountain Road, they thought that Mountain Road would be more appealing than putting it in front of the buildings.
That driveway that goes between St. James and that building, number 53, how close is that? It's pretty close to the building, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem, because it doesn't show the driveway on the map, and I know that drive. So you got an issue there. And I know they have issues. They have to have so much swing when they open those vaults cabinets. That cabinet, how big are those cabinets? Are they like 4 by 5? And
here, I'll read you. They're 70 inches, 70.5 inches wide and 53 inches deep. And 50 inches tall. They're not small.
No, they're not. Okay, can you go back to the picture, the other one, the 53? Not the plot site plan, but yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
They did say that as long as we leave them the ability to open the doors to work on it, that we would be able to landscape around it. So I don't know. I know that landscaping doesn't always last and it doesn't solve the problem completely, but.
No. No, and you have big trees there also, which is another issue. If you start digging towards the building, well, all right. I guess there's not much I know your work has been great in helping us do the best you can, and I can definitely see the need. So the vault at 53 is going to serve 2 other buildings?
Yes, the one here on a Mountain Road is going to serve 53 and the building, so it's Lathrop dorm, it's the dorm north of that. So it's going to serve 2 dorms. The meter on 53 is going to serve both 59, yes, 53, and then I think it's 47 if I have my numbers right. I just know them by the dorm names. So.
No, I understand it, and that's the good news, in that you get 1 for 3. So, okay, I guess belabored enough. I've heard enough. Thank you.
That I unmute or?
No, now we can hear you.
Is anyone, are there other questions?
Yeah, there will be. I'm wondering, Jay, are you going to?
I couldn't hear Ted. Did he say no comment or no question?
I didn't hear you call me. No comment.
Okay, thanks, Ted. John?
Yeah, hey, Katie, thanks. Hey, these transformers are assets owned by the utility, correct?
I believe so.
And the utility services, Miss Porter's, the church, the school. I guess 2 questions. One is, will there be incremental transformers required in other places across the Miss Porter's campus?
We've already taken care of all of the electrical on the west side of the street. This is, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, the east side of the street is the side that we haven't addressed. And we are looking at the electrical upgrades for the entire east side, which is mostly made up of the 5 dorms, Keep, Lathrop, New Place, Colony, and Humphrey. And I do not know of any other upgrades that we will be needing to do in terms of electrical on that side of the street, of Main Street. But okay. I can't get a definitive answer for you, but that is my understanding in all of the meetings that we have had.
And I ask just in that, again, I think your consideration of the aesthetics of Miss Porter's and making sure this all works along with what we do for our job, like just looking at the infrastructure and the system, they're like, Eversource isn't always motivated to think of other options, but when you look at the infrastructure required on that side of Main Street, which is pretty significant with the school and other assets, I guess my question is, have you, or could we go back to Eversource and just say, are there any other options in terms of locations, or have you already done that?
We asked them and they said they needed to put it near those electrical poles that are already there. And they need to be close to a street. That's a requirement that they have. So because of the location of the dorms, they would either be on Main Street to be close to the street, or on those 2 main side streets, Mountain Road and School Street.
Okay.
Because to get them behind, say, the dorms that are further north, there is no public street and there are no big electrical public power lines that are behind those buildings.
Understood. I know there is precedent in other cases with transformers to have them in different locations, not by poles.
Okay.
Again, that's usually incremental expense to Eversource, and they may or may not be willing to cover that. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sally, do you have any questions or comments on the application or for the applicant?
No questions or comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to ask one question, Katie. This is going to be Is it possible to put those in an underground crypt?
I will ask. I will ask. I mean, I would like them not to be anywhere. I'd like them to be in a basement or inside a building or underground. Those pieces that are the big, large concrete vaults that are there, those are going underground, under these transformers. And I don't know why they can't put them underground, but I see them all over, you know, trying to figure out what they were going to look like. There's one on right in front of the country club. They're, you know, they're very unattractive.
Yeah, I suspect you can't, but I don't know the answer for sure, so I thought I'd ask.
I don't know for sure either, but I certainly am willing to ask. I'm willing to ask. Jim, did you?
Yeah, Jay, in reference to what John just said, I recently just put in one of those vaults, same size, and it is a good almost 100 feet from their existing telephone pole. It is in between two buildings. These are commercial buildings, of course, but I don't have as much problem with the School Street one, but I have a bigger problem with the Mountain Road one, because I don't see why they can't have it close to the rear of the building, not that far from that driveway, because as long as they have access, they probably want vehicular access. I'm not sure what it is, but John's right that their major consideration is always how cheap can we do this. We want to sell you the expensive power, but we still want to make it as cheap as we can for us. So I would just maybe shake the bushes a little more. I don't see why they go in on private property all over the place. They need access. I guarantee you they need the access, and they might have decent access from that shared driveway, because you share that driveway with St. James.
Correct. And are you suggesting that on the other side of this tree, between the tree that you see in the photo and the building, or on the north of the?
As far back as you can, probably if you can get it on the back side of that tree. Maybe you can't, because the house is pretty close to the.
It's very close, and there's actually a doorway and an entrance.
Right.
To the building.
So that I'm sure is a problem, but if you could get it back further, that would be so much better. That and I know you do a good job trying to screen them, which is part of our purview, but you did that as well as you could across the street. But now we've got this one. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really an eyesore.
Yeah, I was thinking too, down at the corner of Main and Mountain, there is that, and it's probably for the switching. Isn't there a big green box down there too? It's probably for the light.
Yep, already.
Yeah, that's the switch box, right. But, and I think to your question, Jay, about the vault, they can't, because of an emergency. They need to be able to open these doors up. So I think that's an issue, and drainage, that can fill up with water.
That's true. Yeah.
We got a big hole. So my suggestion, don't have much problem with the one on School, the one on Mountain Road on the corner, and if it can't be done, if you've gone through all the potential scenarios, it's great that you're doing 3 for 1. But if we can get that further back, that would be. It may cost a little more money, and maybe I don't know what to say. I think they need to do more. They have to go back to the drawing board on that, I think.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment or have a question about this application? If you do, raise your hand in the on the screen, and Shannon will let you in.
Again, anyone wishing to make a comment, please raise your hand using the Zoom function. Okay, Jay, I'm not seeing anyone.
Okay.
And I don't know if, did you, and I may have missed it, did you call on Liz Gemsky for for comments?
I did not. I didn't know she's here. I'm sorry. Liz?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. We got everybody.
And I don't know, I've got an ability, I can pull at any time if you folks want the GIS map up, I can open that up for you. If you want that for reference, I can certainly do that.
I think we're okay. I guess what hearing what I've heard, and I guess I'd ask Katie. We could approve one of these today. It sounds like to me. I'm not saying we would, but would you be okay going back to Eversource and a little more pushing and see maybe if you can't get that pushback off of Mountain Road a little bit?
Yes, I have no problem doing that because I, like you all, would prefer not to see it.
In that case, then maybe we could entertain a motion to approve the one transformer. I'm going to get my addresses wrong. We're going to approve the one at 63 Main, right?
Right.
And then the electric and meter panels at 53, 59, and 63. And then you can come back for the 53 Main Street transformer. Is that, yeah. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there further discussion on the motion? I guess I'm trying to be a little more formal here. I guess the regular members, are there any questions or comments on the motion? You understand the motion? Okay, hearing none. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, you're all set on that. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and we do have the other applicants on, so let's go, if we can, we'll go in order. We'll go back to the top. And I've got to, hang on, I gotta manage how people came in here. And this one. Okay, I believe we have Nathan Follenbees on.
Yep. Can you see me all or not?
Well, we can hear you. I'm sure we can, we're probably down in my screen somewhere, but hang on, because we'll read the legal notice in for this item here. So I don't know, Jim, can you see that?
Yeah, I'll just see if I can enlarge it. I can't.
You want me to read it?
Oh, that's better.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
Let's see. Notice is
So it's by the cursor.
Yeah, right, exactly. Nathan and Sally Folensby, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install generator and propane tank at 101 Main Street.
Okay, if someone is here for the applicant, which I know, Nathan, you are, if you
I
could
am.
state your full name and your address, just for the recording.
Okay, my full name is Nathan Folensby. My nickname is Nat, and my address is 101 Main Street in Farmington, Connecticut.
Okay, and if you want to make a presentation as to what it is that you're applying for a temporary certificate of appropriateness.
Sure. My wife and I would like to install a generator that would produce power for the house with outages, when we have outages. Many of you will remember a number of years ago when we went 10 or 11 days without power. And then also you remember just recently we had 4 days without power. We have a sump pump in our basement, and when there's no power, there's no sump pump. And so this becomes a little bit worrisome for us, as well as I never thought I would ever say this, but we're in our late 60s now. And the idea of dealing with a sump pump and doing things by hand and that sort of thing is become a little bit too much. As you can see from my sketch here, we would position the generator and the propane tanks to the north of the house, which is a fairly well hidden area if you've driven by the house. It's landscaped to the front, so towards Main Street, there's landscaping that would make it difficult to see. both the generator and the tanks. And there's a stand of trees where that black line is between our 101 Main Street and 99 Main Street. We also would be perfectly willing to do any other kind of landscaping or perhaps put a fence around it if we could probably do that. The fuse box you can see is right in the basement below the bulwark. And so this is an ideal place in terms of just being close to the electricity of the house. There are fences, as you can see, to the north and the south of the house. And then the rest is our backyard. There are some outbuildings. There's an outbuilding. If you go to the north of the house, there is an outbuilding where the word fence is, essentially. And there's also an outbuilding where the word fence is to the south, where we keep our wood. Neither one of them is particularly large, and the rest of the area is just yard and a garage, and that's the garage on Colton Street. So generally, yeah. PE Electric would be the company that would install the generator, and they've been here, and you can see, I think the red lines are what they're proposing. It has to be, as most of you know, it has to be, I'm new to this, but it has to be a certain number of feet away from the house and away from other things that are on the north side, and from the propane tanks themselves. So that would be the positioning. So I'll answer any questions you have, or
okay.
No.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll go through the commissioners and they will ask questions or make comments. I'll go in reverse order, I guess. Liz, do you have anything?
There are going to be 2 tanks, is that correct, accurate?
I believe so. The man Dave from Allgas is actually coming tomorrow. He wasn't able to come the first time we set an appointment. He wasn't able to come, and so I'll know more about that tomorrow. But I think it will be 2 tanks. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sally?
No questions at this time?
John?
No questions.
Ted?
No questions.
Jim?
Just how big are the tanks?
That is a question I don't know the answer to, Jim, but I'll get you that tomorrow if I can send it.
Okay.
Can I send it to Sandy, or to whom do I send it?
Yeah.
Sandy.
I mean, it's technically not going to be part of our record, so
Okay.
we don't have it today. So don't send it to Shannon, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, when you're talking tanks, you're talking about, I'm sorry to jump in, everybody, your standard propane tank? You just said you don't know. I shouldn't.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
I would imagine they're 2 100-gallon.
Right. Would you need 2?
Probably.
Oh, all right.
100's not going to carry you through.
That's true. Well, do you have anything else, Jim?
Maybe not. It could be 250, so I don't know.
Anything else, Jim?
No, I think we should know how big the tanks are. The generators, we don't usually have a problem with, and the lots are small. A lot of people have them. We've been approving them, but I think we should know about the tanks.
Okay.
Evan?
So I had the same question about the size of the tanks, but also I would ask, I know some folks do bury propane tanks, so it'd be interesting to see if that was potentially an option as well.
I will ask him tomorrow.
Thank you.
On the buried tanks, usually those are 500 gallons. Do you heat the house at all with that, Nate?
No, we heat with oil.
Well, okay, so they probably won't bury them unless they're 500, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay, I'll ask.
Okay, thank you.
Jay?
Yeah, I may have missed, but where are the tanks going to go on that picture where the it shows where the generator is going to go? Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, nothing else.
My Van Gogh sketch. It's hard to read.
Okay, is there anybody on the call that would like to ask any questions or make any comments on this application? Again, raise your chat hand if you do, and Shannon will let you in.
Anyone speaking in favor or in opposition of this application? Raise your hand. No? Okay, I'm not seeing anything, Jay. I think we're all set.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't personally have any other questions as well. I mean, obviously, I guess I do have one question. This may be a Shannon question, just out of curiosity, going, so I don't want anybody to have any problems. There's no setback issues here if you're right up on the property line?
There is, so this hasn't come in for building permit as of yet. Above ground tanks have to be 10, it was either 5 or 10 feet, 10 feet off of the side property line. So,
Wow.
and if it's underground, then there is no setback requirement underground. It's just whatever the propane, that becomes a building permit function, then it's not a zoning function when they're underground. So, but if they're above ground, they have to be 10 feet off or screen. I think they can be closer if they're screened.
If they're what?
If they're screened with like a fence or paving, they could be closer than if they're screened. But if they're unscreened, then they have to be 10 feet. And again, there are other building permit requirements with respect to their proximity to structures and a variety of things that don't really fall under our zoning review.
Okay. And Ed, I don't know if you know, I mean, are you close on that 10 feet?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'll find out tomorrow from this guy. I'm sure he'll know the regular. How far Shannon, do you know how far the propane tanks have to be from the house itself? Not the property line, but the house.
Yeah, I don't offhand. I think I don't specifically know offhand. I'd be guessing, which isn't very helpful. So,
Okay.
so they will know. And that again, the proximity away from the house and structures, whether it's above ground or below ground, is really a building permit function.
Okay.
The proximity from the side yard, there is a zoning function, as I just mentioned, the 10 feet.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really a building permit function with the proximity to the home.
Okay. Well, I don't hear any other comment from the public. I guess I'm looking to consensus here. Are we comfortable? Does someone want to make a motion, or would we be more comfortable asking that the applicant come back? I don't know. Nat, what's your timing on this if we asked you to come back in 30 days?
That would be fine. The installation date I have is May 27th. So
okay.
There's a strong demand for generators, as you might imagine right now. So May 27th is the day they're going to install it. So I certainly could come back in 30 days. It's not a problem.
I think that would be my preference, would be to table this to the next meeting. You can come back. There have been several commissioners that have asked questions about the size of the tanks.
Yeah.
And I guess while we have you, what else? Is there anything else that the commission wants to know? I guess, well, yeah, that's our only issue, I guess, is the size of the tanks. But anybody else? Okay, I guess one last thing I'll say is, so is there any screening from the front? That like I could see the fence on the back, or I'm calling Colton Street the back. Is there any screening on the front that you're going to do?
There are, we certainly could. There are plantings there that you can sort of see in that photograph, and it's not easy to see that far back, particularly in the spring and summer. It's pretty overgrown. There are ferns that grow up in there. It's all kinds of stuff that grows.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I should know my procedure better, but Shannon, do I need a motion to table this to the next meeting? All right. Does someone want to make a motion that we table this to the next meeting?
Sure. I move that we continue this hearing to the next scheduled meeting for February 16, 2021.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Further discussion on the motion? Again, regular members, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, Nat, we'll see you at the next meeting. If you have that information, hopefully we can take care of you then.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Okay. Good luck.
Okey doke. And I believe we have the Holdens on the. Okay, we have Karen, Karen Holden, are you on the phone? I can see.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me or see me?
And so what we'll do is we'll read in the legal notice first. I just want to make sure we had you. And we'll read in the legal notice, and then Jay Bumbar will ask you for your presentation and explanation.
Robert Stewart Holden III, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 120-gallon horizontal propane tank screened with lattice fence at 34 Mountain Road. And Mr. Commissioner, I'm going to recuse myself from this application.
Okay. We can mute you.
I'll listen.
We don't need to mute you. Well, you can, Shannon, if you know how to do it. All right. Will the applicant, whoever's presenting, please again state your name as well as address for the record, and then give us a description of what it is you're applying for.
And yes, it's Karen Holden here at 34 Mountain Road. And we, as you can see on the picture there, we have a horizontal propane tank that we install for as our heat source pretty much. So we did go about, and exactly right there is a fence that we're going to install come spring, or as soon as possible as they can install it. And then we will put in some arborvitaes or some shrubs, whatnot to, pretty much camouflage the fence as well.
Okay, one point of order for myself. Since Jim is unable to act on this matter, I think it's appropriate for me to appoint an alternate to act and to be seated in his place for this matter. And so Liz Jemski will be seated to vote on this matter. I'm sorry, if you have anything else, please go ahead.
Myself?
Yeah, you all set or?
No, I'm all set unless there's
Okay.
anything else that you need from me on my end.
Okay. Well, now we're going to go through and ask the members, all the commissioners except for Mr. Calciano, if they have any comments or questions for you. So start at the top. Jay?
No, not right now.
Evan?
Thank you very much. For the actual size of the tank, do you have any specifications for the footage?
It's about 6 foot, 5 feet, I want to say.
Okay.
And we did indeed look into having it put underground, as we didn't want it to be seen as well. And not for something of that size, it would have to be much larger.
Okay.
And again, also cost difference on recessing it into the ground is quite significant.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Did I wake him up again? Ted?
No, I didn't hear you ask him.
Oh, sorry, Ted.
Okay. What's the fence going to be made out of? Is it wood or is it PVC?
No, wood.
Okay.
It will, I can promise you it's going to be very appealing to the eye.
Okay. And how far back from the front edge of the house is this going to be?
10 feet, 15 feet.
Okay, so fairly close to the front.
Do you measure?
Correct, because right on the other side is a door to the garage. And then on the other side of that is where our air conditioning units are, and then our Bilco door.
Okay.
So then it would be too close to where our furnace is, to where our, what is the word? The exhaust that comes out for our furnace.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm not that technical savvy about it, but as from what we went over, that was the position, the only place it could really go to, and we can hide it pretty much.
Okay. And you
And we
said this
do,
was,
we do have a tree on the property right on the corner there that when it's in full bloom, it's, you know, really, you really can't see it. Once everything is in bloom during the summer and spring, you will not be able to see it.
well, I walk by there all the time. I know it's not a real obvious spot you're putting it. Did you also say it's a horizontal tank and not a vertical tank?
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's all I had.
John,
Nope, nothing for me. Thanks.
Sally,
I'm all set. Those are good questions. Thank you.
Liz?
I'm all set as well. Thank you.
Okay. Karen, is the tank, is it already installed?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. Because I saw a tank there and I was thinking, I trusted not putting in a second one.
No, we had a failure with our furnace.
Yep.
And they weren't going to be able, so this was our pretty much a source of heat to get us through. So we did ask for an emergency installation for that time.
Yeah, no, and to be clear, everybody, I was notified as chairman that they wanted to do this. They were asking two things. You know, one is, do they need a permit or a certificate? Which I said yes, because as Ted says, we walk there all the time. You can, not a lot, but there's a small window where you can definitely see the side of that house. But then I did say they can install it. The risk would be that if we don't approve it, they're gonna have to find another place to put it. So I just want to be clear that the applicant did not, do anything inappropriate here, and it's fine. I just wanted to double check that there wasn't actually a second tank going in.
And down, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, down in that corner there by where it's that little pocket window coming up, we are going to, yes, exactly right there, for our own privacy as well. We are going to be installing some, 8-foot arborvitaes that pretty much go along with the rest of the going up mountain. So we plan on bringing those about, 10 to 15 feet in, 20 feet. So you will have complete privacy from that way, from that angle too.
Is there anybody listening on the phone from the public that would like to speak in favor or opposition, or has any questions or comments for the applicant for the town? Raise your chat hand.
Oh, yeah, I'm not seeing any questions or comments, Jay. Everything's quiet.
Okay. Again, Liz Jemski is seated as a regular member for purposes of this vote. If somebody would like to make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
I'll make the motion to grant a temporary certificate of appropriateness to Robert Stewart Holden for the propane tank on his property at 34 Mountain Road.
And that's with the lattice fence.
Correct, with the wooden lattice fence.
Yep, great. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. I second that. Sally Hatzenbuehler.
Thank you, Sally. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
And I don't mean to interrupt. As soon as I have that installed, I'll happily get a few photographs of the back of the house and submit them. So you have an updated, view of that spot.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You're all set, Lauren. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
You.
All right. So here, I think we've taken care of all the public hearings at this point.
Okay. Moving on to other business. I have none. Staff report.
Chairman, I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the agenda by adding an item to discuss the election from December 31st, 2020, giving the town attorney, who I believe is on the call, an opportunity to discuss his second legal opinion.
Is that a motion, Evan?
Yes.
I'd like to second that emotion.
Okay. Again, I guess we're back to the regular members. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, so we will discuss the letter. I guess I'll start by saying the letter is not addressed to the commission. I'm not quite sure why it's appropriate for us to be discussing this. And I don't believe that there's any value in hearing from the town attorney. So I'm gonna pass on that, but Evan, if you wanna say something, fine.
Just so I'm clear, so we're not going to allow the town attorney to speak on behalf of the inquiry that you launched?
Correct.
Shannon, is the chair able to strike that, even though we approved the motion to allow the town attorney to speak?
Was that what the motion said?
That was part of the motion, yes.
Oh, all right, go ahead then, Bob. Let's go. If that's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion. It was made, it was seconded and approved, and
So I take it as the motion was to hear what the town attorney wants to say about the letter that he sent to the chair of the town council, which, to be clear, was not at my direction, nor am I aware of anybody on this commission. So I will repeat that I'm not really certain why the town attorney or the town council at this point is involved in this. This is a matter regarding the leadership of this committee, which has been decided. But at the request of one of the commission members, I'll allow Mr. DiCrescenzo to speak.
okay, Bob, you've been promoted to panelist and are live.
Okay. Have the members of the commission received my letter?
Yes, everyone was sent your letter Friday afternoon before the close of business on Friday afternoon of last week. So
Well, I think my letter that was prepared at the request of the chairman of the town council, he requested that I elaborate on the earlier letter, the December 29th letter, in greater detail on some of the issues that are set out in the letter. I did that, and I don't think it's substantively any different than the December 29th letter. It's more lengthy and covers more topics, but the bottom line conclusions are the same, I believe. I'd be happy to answer any questions on it. I don't want to take up the commission's time to reiterate what the letter already says. I'll be happy to answer questions.
Does anybody have any questions for the town attorney? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Any further discussion regarding the letter? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion, the staff report?
Yes, if you are interested, I have information regarding the expansion study report, which we discussed at the December meeting. Discussed the fact that I was doing the Unionville expansion study public hearing at their January meeting, and that we would do the February, the Farmington Historic District expansion study public hearing at the February meeting. So I have just some, and for me, a picture's worth 1,000 words. How we went about it for Unionville Historic District and how we need to go about it for Farmington Historic District is obviously going to be very similar. So there are public notifications that need to take place, and Sandy and I will take care of those. They include sending the report and map and the modified ordinance in their entirety to all the homeowners that are going to be included in the expansion. And just, it has been emailed out to folks, and Sally, I think you're the only one that doesn't have this, and I'll get this emailed out to you.
Okay, thank you.
But it includes the addition of 5 properties. 2 are 11 Mountain Spring and 21 Mountain Spring. They will be actual additions to the Farmington Historic District. And the other 2 properties are, one is on West District Road, is a private home on West District Road. And the other is a one on Waterville Road, 33 Waterville Road, and then the old schoolhouse on Coppermine Road. So those will be standalone properties that get added to the district. Again, this takes place as part of a public hearing. And so just, you know, this is the agenda that was used for Unionville for their January 7th meeting. And you can see that the items are called out specifically. There were additions to the lovely Main Historic District, and then a district addition of a home. And so that's how the legal notice will run. We have to run the legal notice just as we do for, you know, any COA. And then again, each of the homeowners that I just mentioned will receive a specific letter and copies of all the documentation. And then I had Lisa Johnson. So there are 3 main parts to the presentation. The first part is a welcome, obviously, welcome to the district and an explanation of the district briefly, and then a discussion of the homes that are being added. And that included a presentation of the map, the amendment to the map and location of the homes, and then a discussion of each of the homes. So Lisa presented a picture and then basically provided the summary discussion that's included in the report of each of those homes, so that that gets read, if not verbatim, then close to it into the record, so it's clear as to the historic significance of each of the properties. And again, the idea is that the homeowners are invited to this presentation so they get to hear all of this firsthand, and of course they would have received hard copies of all that. So that's the first part of the presentation. The second part of the presentation, we're obligated to explain to these new homeowners the guidelines that the commission has, basically their purview for reviewing their properties moving ahead, for certificates of appropriateness, guidelines for constructions and alterations, etc. So this is what we put together. We discussed guidelines. We prepared, we explained the difference between if you're doing work at the front of the home versus the back of the home, and the type of treatments we're looking for at the front with respect to replacement windows at the front versus the type of replacement windows and doors that would be allowed at the rear of the home. And review the certificate of appropriateness, the timing and requirements, the documentation that's required to come with those. And then the final part of the presentation is back here. I tackle the final part of it. So the first 2 parts of the presentation are typically members of the commission. Again, this is a welcoming of these new homeowners into the commission. So it's done with the idea that, the commission is participating in this hearing. But this final part I take on, it's the timeline for the study committee report, discusses the steps that have been taken to date, what we've done to advance their study report, where we are now with the public hearing, and then the steps that are necessary in order to complete the addition of their homes into the district. And we also talk about, depending upon if they're an expansion to the district, then they will receive paper ballots. So the 11 and 21 Waterville Road will receive ballots because they're an expansion of the historic district. And then if they are a standalone property, then there is no balloting. The public hearing really is their notice, and then they must submit a written notarized objection if they do not wish to continue the process of having their own home added to the district, and they have 30 days in which to issue that notarized objection letter. And then it goes to town council and is ratified. The ordinance is ratified and moved ahead, or the commission, the town council can accept it, reject it, or ask for amendments to the report. And so I go through that, and we open it up to comments and questions, just like we do any other public hearing. Obviously, it's specifically geared and allowed for these new homeowners to ask questions of the commission so that they get a feel for what's going to be required of them, the benefits, you know, any pluses and minuses to this, and understanding what their requirements and obligations are, but also what their benefits are to having their home added to the district. And also it's open to any public comment at that point. So so that's what we're getting ready to do in February. I thought it would be helpful to run through this so it doesn't come as a surprise to folks, but also if there's anyone interested in actively participating in either that first or second step, you know, it would be really good to have the commission actively engaged in that process and part of the presentation. So we can certainly take, you know, comments from folks, or if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer questions, but ideally we'll leave today with 2 folks interested in participating.
Yeah, so the first part, is there anybody that wants to volunteer to do that? You'll have the houses. I know all the work is done. It's not like you have to research this. It would just be reading the materials that have been prepared already. Lisa Johnson was also involved in that. And if anybody would like to do that, that would be great. And if not, I'm just, and I'm not saying nobody's volunteered yet, but just let me ask Shannon a quick question. If the commission preferred, could we have Lisa Johnson present the houses? If she would do it.
We can if she's available, and I'd have to reach out to Lisa to check on her availability, but certainly she could. That thought had crossed my mind if there wasn't, you know, depending upon the enthusiasm or availability of the commission members here. Yes.
Right. And I know sometimes it's hard because you haven't really thought about it, but is there anybody today that would want to do that first part? All right, so why don't Shannon, if you don't mind, I know you want to get this buttoned up, but why don't we give it a week? So if anybody wants to do it, email me by next Tuesday. If you don't want to do it, Shannon, I'll check with Lisa, and if Lisa either tells me we really need to do it, or she doesn't want to do it, I guess I will volunteer to do it. Although then I'm going to be looking for somebody to volunteer for the second part. Which I think is really just describing what the commission does, and just a very, very high level, you know, if it can be seen from the road, you have to come to us. We have meetings once a month, and, you know, and maybe give a little guidance on windows, but just reminding them that they need to come get the exterior. What I also like to do is, when you're telling people they have to come to you, is remind them why it's so valuable. It's interesting. I just happened to be going through some stuff that I have, and I found a 1971 pamphlet that Miss Porter's did on their campus, and they had somebody, an architect, write up a piece which is just amazing. You could just substitute Miss Porter's for the historic district, and you could substitute students for the citizens, but it really describes the value of the historic district. And I won't take up more time today to read it to you, but I was considering that as a kickoff to the new year. But that might be something worthwhile doing for part 2, which I could give to someone as well. Is there anybody who wants to volunteer right now for part 2? All right, hearing none, again, I'll give you another week. I may reach out and twist some arms or make some suggestions. But you know, I would think about whether or not you'd be able to do it, or would be willing to do it. Sorry, Shannon, but we'll get you answers by in a week.
No, again, it's just leading up to it, and it's something, quite honestly, even the week before. So we do have some time. I just have a little put in place. So that's really the critical part, and for folks to understand that this is going to get moving in this direction, and that we will have a larger discussion at the February meeting in order to accommodate this and any questions. And if anyone's interested to get a better sense as to what I'm talking about, obviously the January meeting for Unionville Historic District is posted online. And so you're certainly welcome to take a peek at that or bits and pieces of it and get a general sense of what I'm talking about and what your obligation would be. It is not overly onerous by any means.
Just a few minutes, I assume.
Correct. Yep. But I can send it. I'll just, I'll send everyone that link, and then you've got it. And if you want to look at it,
that'd be great. That's a great idea, Shannon. Thank you. Shannon, I'm sure it's way too late, so I'm not serious, but I already have heard from somebody who would like to add their house. I think it would be a historic property in Farmington on Waterville Road as well. So I know we talked about this last meeting that it's a lengthy process. Obviously, this house can't come in now. And that we really can't do this every year, but just a heads up, and maybe we at least start a list so that in 2 or 3 years we do the next round.
We've interestingly, we had the same thing happen in Unionville. We were notified just a week or so ago of someone that's interested in having their home added on Keene Place, and we've got no records on it. So Lisa and the homeowner are going to have to really dig deep to do their own research. And Lisa's been upfront and said, basically it's a 2-year, we do these about every 2 years. More than that, it's really, it doesn't work well. That and it works best if we can get it in a group of at least a couple of months, as we did here, 5 here and 4 in Unionville. It doesn't have to be 10 homes, but at least 2, 3, 4 if we can get them, so that it's worth the while, because there is it's moderately labor intensive to get this through.
Yeah,
So,
okay, definitely. So, okay. Anybody else on this? Okay, do you have anything else for the staff report?
I don't, no, I was just sharing those items.
Okay. Moving on to the minutes, you should have the minutes of the December 15 and the special meeting on December 31. I know I had sent an email and made a request, and I appreciate Sandy making sure that people saw them, as well as the town attorney. My only reason was really I felt it gave appropriate color, but on the other hand, at the end of the day, I think that the minutes adequately capture the motions made and taken. So with that, I'm not going to ask that the minutes, I'm okay with the minutes as they stand, but does anybody have any additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'm going to assume regular members are supposed to vote on this. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes, both the 15th and the 31st?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the 15th and the 31st.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jim? Okay, I have a first and a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes carried. Then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you in February.